Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioner, honourable members and ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure today to present Chapter 5 of our 2019 Annual Report, which relates to MFF subheading 1B and covers economic, social and territorial cohesion, covering the expenditure managed by DG's Regio and Employment. Today, obviously, we're here to discuss where we can, the aspects which are specific to DG Regio. In 2019, we continued to apply the same approach as we have for the previous 2 years. It's based on the 2014-2020 programme period's Common Provision Regulation, which provides for a cohesion control and insurance framework that aims to ensure that the residual error per operational programme is below the materiality threshold of 2%. Member States audit authorities and the Commission are key players in this regard. Audit authorities certify the error rates based on their work, and the Commission seeks reasonable assurance that these rates are reliable. Considering the particular role of audit authorities in this control framework, we examine transactions which they have previously checked. This approach allows us to provide both a specific assessment for cohesion and to obtain a greater insight into the work of audit authorities with a view to possibly placing, where we can, greater reliance on their work going forward. It also endeavours to reduce the administrative burden placed on final beneficiaries. The first element of our report concerns legality and regularity. In this year's audit, we examined a representative sample of 236 transactions for this policy area, of which 167 concerned DG Regio. For cohesion, we quantified 29 errors, which audit authorities had not detected. Taking account of the 64 errors which had already been found by the audit authorities and corrections totalling €334 million, we estimate the level of error for this MFF subheading to be 4.4% compared to 5% the previous year. Without applying these financial corrections, the gross error rate would have been 5.6%. In 2019, ineligible projects contributed to more than half of our error rate. These projects concerned mostly ERDF transactions from the 14-20 programme period. Another element that contributed significantly to our error rate were infringements of internal market rules, in particular non-compliance with public procurement rules, which continues to be a frequent source of error. The undetected errors that we found highlight the persisting weaknesses in the Member States' checks for preventing and detecting irregularities. It also brings into focus the quality of the audit authority's work and the effect that it has on our assessment. The results of the Commission's work forms the basis for the error rates for each operational programme. These are disclosed in an aggregated form in DG Regio's annual activity report as the so-called risk at payment. In its 2019 annual activity report, DG Regio reported an error rate of 2.7% as a key performance indicator. However, this should be considered only as a minimum error rate, which is not yet finalised. They also report a maximum rate of 3.8%, which aims to address the potential impact of ongoing audit work. In relation to our overall assessment, I would say in 2019, the level of error in cohesion was material at 4.4%. It's obviously above our threshold of 2. In view of the shortcomings outlined above, we cannot currently rely on the work of the Member States audit authorities or indeed the error rates presented in DG Regio's annual activity report and the Commission's annual management performance report. We have made 2 recommendations that aim to improve the situation going forward, which the Commission has accepted. Additionally, we also refer to recommendations that we have made in the previous year due to the reoccurrence of the same issues, which means that they're still open and relevant. Dear members, it's crucial that EU funds are spent in compliance with the rules, and in view of the scarce budgetary resources, it's vitally important that there is a positive impact in terms of objectives and results achieved. As a pilot exercise, this year we have had a separate annual report where we looked into the Commission's performance reporting in 2019. For cohesion, we selected two of the four programmes, namely the ERDF and the Cohesion Fund, which together represent 72% of the payments made under this MFF heading. We focused on 4 of 11 thematic objectives and assessed the progress made in achieving them. We based our assessment mainly on the situation of the indicators related to the ERDF and CF objectives selected. It's important, however, to note that our assessment was subject to limitations, which are inherent to measuring performance in cohesion, such as the project's delayed impact, which often are affected by external factors, and that we had to work with indicators for which the Commission does not clearly indicate the reliability of the underlying data and which might not always be meaningful. Our analysis showed that 5 years after the launch of the 2014-20 programming period, just over 1/3 of the 72 programme indicators for ERDF and Cohesion Fund are on track. With regard to the 4 specific programme objectives selected, 2 were below 50%, being SMEs at 33% and low carbon economy at only 10% of their project stage. We also note by the end of 2019, low absorption continues to be an issue for ERDF and CF, for which only 36 and 39% respectively of the available funding had been paid. So to wrap up, I hope that our findings, conclusions and recommendations will be of value for the work of this committee and of the Commission, and that they can contribute to future initiatives in the area of cohesion. Let me finish my presentation by once again stressing that the errors we identify are not necessarily wasted funds, as the individual project could still have had a positive impact. It must also be emphasised that fraud is different from an error, as it implies a deliberate act of deception to gain an advantage in obtaining EU funds. In 2020, we forwarded one case to Olaf which concerned a Regio transaction from our 2019 audit. I would like to thank the Rapporteur, Mr. Koos, for the very useful exchanges of views in relation to the discharge procedure, and the Commission for the constructive working relationship throughout the process, which indeed is not always easy considering that we operate in a very complex policy area. Finally, I would like to thank this committee for the excellent cooperation over the past 3 years when I have been the reporting member for this cohesion chapter. My colleague Mr. Lazarou is now responsible for the chapter, but I would look forward to continue working with you in my capacity as a reporting member for the annual report. I now look forward to the words of Commissioner Ferreira and any questions that the honourable members may have. Many thanks.